how did that choice happen? How did that choice happen to say that, obviously, shebang's grown to the size it has, and there's obviously a lot happening there, and there's international expansion, etc. Then level also happened on the side. As an entrepreneur, it's a choice to make things. One thing, this is one which you already have a certain level of focus on, to do another. Like you said, how did that reprogramming happen? How did it start?
Again, I think it's so it linked back, to 2018, that bit where I went cold turkey. So that was one big kind of point for me, saying that, look, this is it's helped you this way. And then I started reading a bit more about a meditation practice, and turns out only 2.5% of the world is engaged in some sort of a meditation practice, with maybe 0.5% having a daily practice. But then I started reading more about it, and I said that, it has compounded effects in terms of what it can do to our minds and what it can do to our lives. So I started implementing it on myself. Last 5 years, I've basically been an experiment. I myself have been the experiment of a strong meditation practice. And then I started trying to understand in terms of the altered traits, what it does. So the most fascinating thing for me about meditation was, if I had to really simplify it, in meditation, often, you call this the third eye particularly in some of the chakra kind of schools of meditation. This is what they call the third eye. What the third eye is basically, again, a focus, which is your prefrontal cortex. So here is your prefrontal cortex, and what you call here the crown chakra is basically the seat of the central lobe of your brain. And what a strong meditation practice is doing is effectively increasing the connectivity between your prefrontal cortex and your central lobe. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain which is responsible for our character. Effectively, if I'm oversimplifying, but
it's the planner, it's the where self-control lies, where everything.
It is what makes Varun, and it's what makes Harshal. It's where the seat of intuition lies. It's how we can sense things. It is, from where the impulse, or even the intuition, rather, not impulse, but the intuition that I should stop doing what I'm doing and really focus on this, or I should do level Supermind. So that's where it all comes. And then your central lobe is through your spine, connected to your eyes, to your mouth, to your hands. And what we effectively call a more integrated person is one where your character is equal to your actions. So it's kind of increasing the connectivity between your character and your actions, and it's strengthening your intuition. It's also strengthening your character, because you're kind of shutting yourself down and really focusing there. And it's also kind of making you more aware of your actions. So I started realizing that, look, it's become very ubiquitous to go to the gym, to go for a run. But this, for some reason, has its connotations as being spiritual or religious, or something that our parents told us to do. So, and I was seeing the impact on my life, as again through 2020, as we were speaking about, between March and April, for me personally at Shebang, was it was a bloodbath, because you had 75% drop in billing between March and April, like most of us, and then you had to deal with decisions. Do I lay people off? How should I be thinking? So again, in those moments, the pause between stimulus and action, I was seeing the impact of the meditation practice playing on me, saying that I'm immediately thinking 20 years ahead. I'm immediately, attracted to try to learn from what Azim Premji is saying at Wipro, which is that if you compound your growth over 35-40% year on year, and you look at 5% efficiency, what you can effectively do is, you'll be building a very large organization over the next 10 to 20 years. So I said, what am I looking at this at? And that's when I, kind of reflected back and said, we'll keep everybody in their seats, and we will work hard, and we'll go through it. So 2020, our team size was about 300 odd people. We're today, almost 1250 odd people. So the perseverance to go through that, being able to see that, and then also communicate to the teams more clearly, I saw those effects. I was also seeing a lot of time freeing up for myself as a result of just being more focused. So I said, I have to do something in this space which is attracting me. And that's when I went to the person who speaks most publicly about meditation
Yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
And we met interestingly at a premiere of Tanmay's movie, Chintu Ka Birthday.
Yeah.
So that's when I saw Ranveer after many years. And I said, let's hang out, let's chat. And then, we kept in touch, we kept speaking. And then we said, we both are itching to do something in this space. Let's do it together. And, that's when finally it turned out.
I remember one of the first times I heard about Level. I don't know if it was even called Level at that time. Was when I was on a call with Ranveer, and he mentioned what the idea was, and in his usual the energy levels on that phone call were very high on one end, and me being calm and listening on the other end. But I feel what's intrigued me about how it's grown is that the tendency always is to say, okay, let's kind of like almost do a cut, copy, paste of a lot of stuff that works. But it looks like there's been a certain amount of time spent on really making sure how do you make this both unique but also like very relevant to what the use case is.
So I think I learned a lot, to be honest. I'm so grateful I took this journey. I'm genuinely very, very grateful that I took this journey because, again, when you do something new, you start to open new skills and new parts of your mind. The mistake I made at the start was, I want to do this. Being a marketer, I made that mistake. I want to do this. And then you have to start eating humble pie because you're actually serving a consumer. So now we do roughly 120 consumer calls every week, with them each being about 20 minutes long. So we are really trying to solve specific problems. So a lot of it then went into building the product to tailor make it to the consumer. And we realized that what people are basically talking about, saying, hey, everything that you're telling me about a meditation practice, I'm convinced, but I don't know how to start. So a lot of the work started around introducing people to the practice. So we have, we've got 3 to 4 minutes of every day because, again, the science was telling us that a consistent practice for 3 to 4 minutes every day can start having 100%. Impact. And then we started doing, saying, a 7-day introduction series. So you got 21 days of 4 minutes followed by 7 days. And we also started seeing that people were saying that, look, when I open up any of these other apps, I'm seeing it in English, I don't connect with it. So that's when it became clear to us that we need to do Hindi guided meditation. Today we are in Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Tamil, we are in Bengali, we have Telugu coming soon. So we have, we are very clear that the idea of connecting with yourself and the idea of the mother tongue is also very, very interrelated. So that's what we started to do. So one problem we were clear we needed to solve is, how do I start? And second problem is, how do I continue? And that's when a lot of the work now is going to habit loops. So if you finish the first meditation, it asks you to commit for 3 more days. And again, the science tells us that when you commit to yourself, that's the biggest motivator that you can have. So you can commit for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and then it keeps reminding you to do it. And that's the first part of the journey. And there's so much more work to be done because, again, meditation itself is such a vast field that you've got visualization, you've got breath work, you've got allied to breath work, the school of mindfulness, and then you've got the mantra chanting and the mantra meditation, which I think is, again, a very big unexplored part of meditation, because once people start to understand what the mantra is really doing for you and why you are connecting with that mantra, then that itself has, the ability for people to transform themselves through. Because again, what a mantra is doing is it is creating reverberations inside of you and then creating that. So I'm most excited about doing that. So it's such a big journey that it is so exciting to be able to go on this journey. And then there's the other parts, which is the journaling side. So we're releasing soon a journaling product where we've really thought about, how do we create these journaling loops and create these journaling habits, and then how do you do things like Yog Nidra to put into sleep. And then also in yoga, we know that people are talking about saying, how do I begin? And with workouts, how do I begin? So we know the audience we're going after, which is, people who are just at the doorstep of saying, I want to transform myself. And then there are so many avenues that you can find yourself once you've gone into that door. So we are basically trying to create the most welcoming, entry into this world of growth for you. And that is what we are really, really focusing on.
You spoke about a very interesting aspect in just building trust, right? What started off as saying, this is what I want to do, saying, okay, what do you need? And to actually listen to a consumer, listen to the other person and understand what they need and build towards that. Want more such insights? Make sure you check out the full episode.